Hey everybody, it's Michael here for the Fellowship of Acoustics. I'm joined by
Milo.
And we are in a workshop today. Have a quick look around actually. This is where all of our youth luthiers do the beautiful work on all of your guitars. We're going to talk about acoustic guitar pickups and mainly which one to choose and what kind of systems are there actually.
Yeah, because maybe you found your perfect acoustic guitar when you're sitting on the couch or in your room. It sounds just perfect the way it is. But then you're on a stage and you want to amplify your guitar and you still want to capture that raw acoustic beauty of your instrument. So how can you do that? Yeah. That's the question for today.
I would say that today we're going to discuss 4 different options and combinations of those 4. Now before we dive into each of these systems individually, let's quickly go over which 4 we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we're going to build it up throughout the video. And I'd say let's start with probably the most used system out there, which is a piezo pickup. A piezo is actually, I've got one lying right in front of me over here. You can resemble this to be the front of your guitar. This is the bridge right over here, and there's a little thread, which you can also see on the back over here. It's this white little thread, which actually catches the vibrations that go through your body.
Also, the piezo, also known as an undersaddle pickup.
Yes, thank you for the term, because the bridge is where the saddle goes on top, so the vibrations go through the saddle into the piezo, and through this wire it actually comes out of here.
Another option that you have is to include a microphone, which you can see over here. Of course, a microphone is the way that acoustic guitars have been captured throughout all years in studios. So why not put one inside of your guitar? So this is actually an Anthem pickup, right? So this is a combination of a piezo and a microphone.
Yeah, true. There are, of course, pros and cons to each system, and we'll talk about those later when we dive into those specific systems, but there's a reason why you have these different options. Yeah. Option 3 is actually what I have right here, and these are transducer microphones. They are basically just sticking to the bridge plate that's on the inside of your guitar.
Like a contact microphone or something?
Yeah, a contact microphone. This system is actually passive. We haven't had that term yet. You have passive and active systems. We'll dive more into that as well. But this is option number 3. And then we have option number 4.
Yeah, and that is a magnetic pickup, or a sound hole pickup, they sometimes call it. This is actually almost like an electric guitar pickup on your acoustic guitar. We'll show a few examples. I'm actually a big fan of the sound hole magnetic pickup. Yeah, I brought my own guitar as well, which has a Fishman sound hole pickup installed. So we're going to do some demos of all these pickups so that you can make your mind up which is the perfect acoustic guitar pickup for you.
Yeah, now that we've explained these 4, I'd say let's deep dive into the first one. We're gonna look for a guitar in the store that has one of these systems built in. Then we'll talk about that specific system and we'll try it out.
Yeah.
Let's go. We've arrived in the acoustic villa. Yeah, we're gonna have a look around. We're gonna look for that first system we talked about, which is the piezo undersaddle system. So we are aware that Gibson has a bunch of them, right?
Yeah, most of their new guitars, not all collections, but most of them get shipped with a LR Baggs piezo pickup. That one is called the
VTC Element.
VTC Element, VTC standing for volume and tone control.
While we're on that note, actually, VTC standing for volume tone control, the Element that we're talking about actually has a preamp built into the output. Yeah. And that's an active system. I talked a little bit about that in the intro. So you have a passive system. That's a system that does not need any extra power.
Batteries or something installed, yeah.
Exactly. And the active side does need a battery. So this has a 9-volt battery that we showed you on the intro. And otherwise, we'll play a little clip of Michiel, one of our luthiers, building that system into a body. Then you can see the little bag that holds a 9-volt battery.
Really easy to change.
Yeah.
But it does help because that offers you some more volume, a preamp installed. So with the passive pickups, we'll talk about it later, but you need someone to give your acoustic pickup a little boost because you don't get that from the instrument itself. Yeah, all right. That being said, we're looking for a VTC one. LG size guitar. I think this one, you can see it here. It showed a volume and a tone. Yeah. So this is let me see what they call this. Yeah, the LG2AJ, so it's sort of a combination of an LG2 guitar and an advanced jumbo, as you can see on the inlays here on the fingerboard. Yeah. Doesn't really matter for now because we're mostly listening to the sound of the actual pickup. Okay. So maybe, shall we demo this? Yeah, we've got a little setup in the other room, so let's just take it over there and then we can compare that to a microphone as well. Yeah, let's do it.
While Milo is actually getting ready to play a little demo for you all, we should mention that each system, like we said, has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
Because one of the cons that you could say of this system is that the luthier needs to do a little bit of work on your guitar. A little hole needs to be drilled into the bridge plate, actually underneath the saddle, to make room for that piezo.
If you're really precious about your guitar and you want to keep it in its original state, then maybe a piezo is not for you, because maybe we talk in the shop a lot about intrusive and non-intrusive sort of pickups, and this is an intrusive pickup.
Yeah, it's an intrusive pickup also because the output jack over here, every acoustic has a hole on the back. Normally it has like a wooden plug, but it needs to be widened just a little bit. But don't worry, our luthiers do this pretty much daily, every other day. It's really common. And like we said, piezo is the most popular or the most used, also because it's the cheapest option.
Most of the time it is. And I just wanted to add, enlarging a hole like this doesn't do anything to the tone.
Nothing.
100% sure.
100%.
But the intrusive nature of a under saddle pickup, I would say that it can do something to the tone. Of course, it's impossible to compare because you have to make a really clean like recording before you do the procedure and after you do the procedure.
Yeah.
But this is the part where all the vibrations from the strings get transferred to the top. So if you're going to drill into that plate, I think that is like a way that maybe I think it impacted.
That's true, but I think that the takeaway is, I would let it get done by a luthier.
Yeah.
Don't go messing around with yourself. You don't know what you're doing. We have some more to talk about, but let's talk about that later. Let's first listen to what this sounds like.
Yeah.
Now that we've heard those characteristics, maybe you've noticed something. You know what a piezo sound like. Can you explain the sound? You have no idea.
Yeah, I have an idea, but not how this one sounds, because I can only hear the microphone right now.
That is true, but
not even the microphone, I can hear the guitar in the room.
That's true. But in general, you could say that a piezo usually has quite a few highs. It's pretty much there on the high end. And
I've heard people say a quacky sound.
Quacky and bitey.
Yeah.
And that has to do with the fact that those sound waves going through the body sound really different than the sound waves projecting from the body. Yeah, so that's one thing to take away from a piezo, but now you've got an idea.
And it does help you cut through a mix on a stage. So when you place a guitar like in a total band mix, a piezo can help by giving you your own little spot in the mix, I think.
Definitely. I'd say let's just move on to the next system.
Sure.
Okay?
So while we're in this room, we
Yeah.
have a lot of Atkins guitars here, and I know we have a few Atkins with a pickup installed. I see one with an Anthem. And
Yeah, I also saw one with
there's the Anthem.
That's another Anthem. Exactly.
This one does have a
output jack.
I think this is the one with the pure mini pickup installed by K&K. So maybe that's a nice segue to talk about like the contact microphone and the transducers. The pure mini was one of the best-selling pickups that we had here at the store for a couple of reasons. Because it's a really cheap pickup. It is a passive pickup, like we just said. There is no battery in this guitar.
Look at it.
Yeah,
this is it.
It's just like 3 stickers and an output. That's it. So the only intrusive part of this pickup is enlarging this hole right here. But that's the only thing. So what does a transducer or contact microphone offer? It offers a pretty natural sound. I think it's one of the most natural sounding pickups. It doesn't need a battery. That's an advantage. But there are a few disadvantages, I would say. Because there is no preamp or a battery inside of the pickup, it has a really low output.
Yeah.
It does need some work. So you can't just plug it in anywhere and expect it to sound good. You need a good sound engineer to help beef up the sound, to tweak it.
Or that's something we could talk about a little bit at the end of the video. You could have your own preamp on stage.
Sure.
That's another way to amplify this system.
Yeah. Another, like maybe a slight disadvantage of the nature of this pickup is that it can be on the bassy side. So it can help like a small body guitar sound bigger with a pure mini, just my experience. But it can be a tad on the bassy side, I would say.
Which is actually something that the Piezo sometimes lacks, low end.
Yeah.
So each system to their own. Let's listen to what this one can do, right?
Yeah, and before we do, just one thing I wanted to mention, that my favorite sort of acoustic guitar tone that I've ever had on a stage was a pure mini. So
really?
Right now I do have a sound hole, like a magnetic pickup, but there was one instance where I had just a perfect sound guide and my acoustic guitar sounded exactly the way that I wanted it, and that was a pure mini.
All
So
right.
if you have a really great sound guide, you get a non-intrusive pickup that's really cheap. Great deal, let's say. So let's listen to it.
All right.
While Maiko is doing the sound, I just wanted to mention what we have here in terms of the guitar. We have a LG47 by Atkins, so it's another LG sort of guitar. This one has a maple back and side so that's a difference. You might hear that on the microphone. I don't think it will make that much of a difference in the pickup, but let's see. It's a great sounding guitar, I think. I don't know how the pickup translates over to YouTube, so please let us know in the comments down below what you think when you compare the sound of this sort of transducer microphone with a piezo that we just had.
I think there's going to be a noticeable difference, and if you know what that difference is, or you just, I'm curious what you think the difference is to your ears. So if you have any comments on that, then please let us know.
So maybe we'll jump to the next pickup.
I'd say let's go to the next pickup system. Let's go.
All right, so we're heading over to the boutique guitar room, because that's where my own guitar is. I put it there.
Just to give you the idea that he has a boutique guitar, which he actually has.
So I put it next to the other Collings, because that's where it feels at home. Here it is.
Yep.
This is a OM1 Julian Lage model by Collings. And as you can see right here, we have a sound hole pickup by Fishman. This is called the Rare Earth pickup. So I think this is a humbucker actually. I'm not really 100% sure. And it is also a combination, you can see it here already, with a microphone. We'll talk about that later.
About blending, I just quickly wanted to show, because this is also an OM1 Julian Lage with a different top. But then you can see just what the difference is. But this is non-intrusive, right, this part?
Yeah, it is. So it's only like this. There are some screws here. It doesn't do anything to the sound or anything. Again, you have to enlarge this part here because you just need to fit a jack in there. But that's the only thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a battery in it as well. So there's a preamp inside of this pickup as well.
Okay.
So there are a few reasons why I chose a magnetic pickup. And one of them being feedback. Because if you have played an acoustic guitar on a stage with a pickup, then I think you probably did have some feedback once in your life.
Yes.
Because acoustic guitars are prone to feedback. That's also because it is like a speaker. You have a speaker in your hands when you're playing. And when there's a loop, you have a monitor where your acoustic guitar is coming out of, and it feeds back into your guitar, which gets amplified again, you get feedback. That is a feedback loop. Especially when you're talking about microphones inside of your guitar, those are especially prone to feedback. Magnetic pickups aren't at all. So that's why I like them. Of course, they don't sound like an acoustic guitar, but they are like an electric guitar, and they don't feedback at all.
Yeah, that is one of the other pros or cons that you have with those acoustic guitars and the different systems that we talked about. Yeah. There are ways to work around feedback on a stage. I think that's the biggest thing with amplifying an acoustic guitar on a stage with a band, to say the least, is the feedback. You do have a way to mute your sound hole, you could say, if you have a microphone inside. Maybe you've seen players on stage with one of these black rubber feedback busters, or what they called on the inside here, and
that stops the loop because there's no sound entering the guitar anymore.
Yeah,
so that's why.
Yeah, because if a microphone is in there and you get feedback, that means that there's sound coming in through that hole, and the microphone picks it up. Yeah. So I think that's another one.
That can really help it. Of course, it dampens the sound of your guitar. So when you also want to hear your guitar on a stage, that totally is gone with a feedback buster. So that is why a magnetic pickup is great in my opinion. But then again, it doesn't sound like an acoustic guitar. But in my opinion, we talked about this before, I think this is the best option of the worst options. Because, let me just be clear, I think the best option is just to have a really nice condenser microphone and put that in front of your guitar.
But you can't have that on a stage with a band.
Well, maybe we have to talk about Ear Trumpet Labs a little bit and the bluegrass community and how they are using condenser mics on really big stages. They are doing it. I think that is the most true to your acoustic instrument. But then of all the other options, this is my personal favorite because of the ease of use.
All right, and I'm actually very curious to what that sounds like.
Let's go. To give you some context about the guitar, because we tried different guitars today. So this is a OM guitar and it has a mahogany back and sides, a Sitka spruce top. So again, a little bit different than the rest of the guitars. And again, let us know how this sounds. I really like the sound of my guitar. Now I hear it again. And this guitar might actually be a nice segue to the last part. We're going to talk about hybrids of pickups.
Blends. Yeah, blending.
In the beginning of the video, we talked about microphones. Of course, we're recording with a microphone here today as well. But there is a way to use a microphone in a pickup system inside of your guitar. And this guitar is an example of that because this is a mix of a magnetic pickup with a microphone.
Yeah.
You just grab a Anthem.
This is an Anthem system. So this is also a blend. We showed this really briefly in the intro, but this is a preamp, this part right over here, but it combines a microphone, which is on the inside, and then you have
on the bridge plate, right?
On the bridge plate, it's on the bridge plate, and then you have the undersaddle piezo. So this is also a blend, but it blends two different systems together than the one that Milo has.
Yeah, so that's a piezo and a mic. This is a magnetic and a mic, and then there's also, because we talked about the contact, like the K&K Pure Mini or something like those kind of pickups.
Yep.
There's also a way to blend those with a microphone.
Yeah, so a mic and a transducer, and we have a hi-fi duet from LR Bags to try that out later.
Let's grab all the guitars and maybe we can do some demos with them, yeah?
Yeah, sure. We have 3 guitars right here, and all of these guitars have all of the different blending options.
Yeah.
Yeah, so over here we have a hi-fi duet which combines a mic with the transducer microphones. Then
Eastman, in an Eastman right now, slope shoulder.
Yeah, slope shoulder. We have a Furg with a cutaway, a GC, and it's got an Anthem, so that combines a piezo with a mic.
Yeah.
And then your guitar.
The Collings OM Julian Lage, and that combines a magnetic with a microphone. So we're going to let you hear the blends of those pickups. I think it might be a good idea to show a 50-50 blend because that's a lot of the time that's how you use it.
Yeah.
But then we're also going to let you hear like only the microphone inside of the pickup.
Yeah.
So I think we'll just do like a quick cut compilation of this, and you're just going to hear all those pickups next to each other.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. You've heard all systems.
Yep.
Milo, Do you have a preference? Well, you don't because you haven't heard him yet. Anyway.
Magnetic.
Yeah, I know your preference. Before we conclude this video, there's one last thing that we should talk a little bit about, and that is how you amplify your sound from the guitar to the sound person.
Like a signal chain.
A signal chain.
We all have our pedals, our pedal board with the electric guitar. So sometimes people use a lot of pedals with acoustics as well.
Yeah.
Or you can go
Or sometimes
minimalist.
none, which is what you do, right?
Yeah, so I had a pedal board with like a tuner. Of course, everyone needs a tuner on the floor. I had a preamp, I had a reverb as well, a delay as well. But now I just go only a tuner straight into a DI. That's what I use.
Yeah. And actually how we recorded these videos today was with a DI. We had a passive PI, so it doesn't have any other power going on. And it's just guitar into the DI, into our recorder.
Yeah.
But if you want to have some control as a guitarist, this is another video on its own, but we just want to quickly show you two options. You can hold this one.
Yep.
Basically, these are also DIs, but they've got a preamp built in, and you can tweak some of the settings yourself.
Yeah, so you can give your guitar some gain, maybe take off some of the high end, maybe boost a little low end, whatever you like.
Yep.
And the most important part is you have an XLR out that makes it a DI, and that's really useful on the stage.
That's what the sound technicians need.
Yep.
And well, you can go crazier from here because this is a very basic pedal. This one has a send and return effects. You can add more effects to your acoustic if you want. But yeah, we just quickly wanted to show you these options.
Yeah, and then you have all the power in your own hands, you know, because that's when you only use a tuner and go into a DI, then it's all up to the sound guy.
Yeah.
You have to trust them, and this way you have all the control under your feet. And of course there are multiple options. These ones are LR bags. K&K make them as well.
Yeah.
Fishman make them
I
as well.
personally own a Fishman, which I'm really happy with.
Like the impulse response sort of knob that you can twist, like make your guitar sound like different guitars.
Exactly, that's one. Yeah, that's
really
one.
good. It's good sounding. But that's a different video on its own. So I think that concludes the video for today, right?
Yeah, we hope you've learned something from this video, that you now have a clear understanding of the different pickup systems that you can get in an acoustic guitar and what they sound like.
Yeah, we will also have a poll on the community side of our YouTube page.
So you can decide.
And vote there. We'd love to see your opinions.
All right, see you in the next one.
Bye. Bye.